Hello YouTube, good morning. Today we are going to learn a few a few codes in HTML, and what I would be doing is I would be walking through you through the basic structure of HTML, what can the HTML program do to your browser, and why is it important to you. So let's begin, and first thing first, let's understand what are the key technologies that you need today to be a good expert in browser technology, also called as client technology, because what you see here is your browser, and this is also in technology parlance called as the client. So you have this particular page which is now displayed as Google India, and I'm using the Chrome browser to show this. Likewise, you could have this page displayed in another browser called Firefox, or you could you could use Internet Explorer, or you could potentially use Safari. So any of the browsers that are available, you could use it. And what it does is that it helps you see it helps you see the code which is written in HTML or in CSS. And we are going to learn about HTML today. So without further ado, let's jump into HTML. So HTML is nothing but hypertext markup language, and it was developed 10 or 15 years ago, and as time passed by, we have reached the fifth version of HTML. So currently we are in HTML5, okay, which is the latest version of HTML. And what HTML does is that it creates the same look and feel the way you're seeing this in your browser. So I can create exactly the way Google is displayed here, with this box here, with this particular search by voice option, all of that in a browser, and which will be seated in my my local desktop. So I don't have to go to the internet and use it, I can do it here. And the use of an HTML program is that you can use it to create your own websites the way you want to. So you can, if you want the Google to move from this particular logo to move from here to here, you can do that. And HTML helps to do that, number one. Number two, what you see here in terms of colors. So you see Google as a blue here, probably an orange or a red here, a yellow here, a blue and green again. This is something which is called as the decoration for the text. So this is not exactly the way the text would appear in HTML, but if you want to have this particular look and feel, you would need to learn something called as CSS. CSS is the full form of CSS is cascading style sheets, and it helps you create a look and feel for your text. So you could get a plain text written as Google, but if you want the color to be there, it has to be done at CSS. And before we start off coding in HTML, I just want to touch upon JavaScript, which is another key element of the browser technology. What JavaScript does is that it creates a window between your browser and your database. So your data is sitting in some particular location, and every time I'm typing something, Google is fetching that data for me. So let's assume that I'm typing burger here. So what Google is doing is essentially searching every burger uh, link which is available in the net and giving me what is relevant as per Google. Okay, so this particular activity of Google going and searching for the particular word in database, that is done through JavaScript. So it talks to your database and then it fetches that data and brings it back to you. Okay, so if JavaScript were not there, then HTML page will do nothing. It will simply show you what text you have written and what boxes you have created, and it will also show you the colors. Okay, so let's get into HTML. And to start coding in HTML, the first thing you would need to do is you would have to download a text editor. So one of the most famous text editors that we have today is called Sublime Text. Okay, and there's another one called Notepad++. So you can also download Notepad++. These are two very famous text editors that you have. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to use Sublime Text because Sublime Text is one of the easiest text editors to use. It is free to download, but you can also buy it if you want to have the premium edition. If you don't buy it, then it gives you pretty much all the features except that every, I think, 20 to 30 after every 20 to 30 attempts of saving, there's a pop-up which prompts you to purchase it. If you say no to it, if you cancel it, nothing happens. You can continue to use it. So if you are able to overcome that minor glitch of a pop-up coming every 20 to 30 times when you save it, you are fine with it. So let's go with Sublime Text, and this is Sublime Text. I've already downloaded it. I didn't want to waste time on explaining to download it, but this is how it looks like. Okay, now if you are going to if you're going to program in HTML, Sublime Text helps you structure your syntax in the HTML format. But before Sublime Text does that, you need to tell Sublime Text that whatever you're going to type here is going to be HTML. And how would Sublime Text know that it is HTML? Well, you can do two things. You can either save this document as .html, or before you even save it, if you see there is a plain text option mentioned here, down here, if you click on this particular window, you will see all the programming languages that Sublime Text supports, and HTML is right here at HTML. And the moment I clicked here, Sublime Text now knows that I'm going to type in HTML. So whenever I open and close a parenthesis, it will help me through the process. So let me show you what I mean. So let me say if I've written HTML, okay, Sublime Text will automatically do the rest for me. See, so Sublime Text has helped me create everything that I wanted to create when I start an HTML page, which is, first thing, I need to declare my HTML page. So any HTML5 page has to be declared with this particular parenthesis, which basically says, it's a doc type and it's an HTML. So you have to declare it. Once you have declared it, you need to open the HTML file and close the HTML tag. So every HTML is contained in this particular tag, and you need to open it and close it. An HTML will typically have a head, a title, and a body. Now I could take all of this out and simply type what I want to type in HTML, and the browser will still show it. Okay, so let me tell you what I mean by that. So let me say that I just simply type HTML, okay, and I don't do anything that the browser tells me, and I just write some gibberish and I close this HTML. Okay, this is also acceptable. This is also acceptable as per HTML. So let's see what happens when we save this particular file. Let's save this as test123 in my desktop. I say save. All right, so this is the file we created, and this is the text, the gibberish that we have written. Let's open it. You can see the gibberish is there. Yeah, look at that, it's there. So why bother writing all the other stuff that we had tried to write, the body, the header, and all of that? Well, for two reasons. Number one, HTML program, when you're writing an HTML program, it's not just you who's going to see the program. It's probably another program who's going to see it, and he needs to understand what have you written and why have you written it the way you've written it. Okay. And second thing is that HTML also needs to recognize the characters that you're using in your file. So let me explain what I mean by that. So when I write HTML and you see the doc coming in here, this is the first declaration that I'm doing. It's telling HTML that this is an HTML5 type of programming that I'm going to do. So everything that's going to happen below that, it's going to be basis that HTML5 programming. The second thing is when I open and close HTML, the program, the browser knows that here is where the action is, between the head, body, and the head is essentially the area where I'm going to declare some very essential functions. For example, title. So when I say title, this is the title that I'm going to give to my page. So this is my first HTML programming. This is my title. Now I can go to the head and add other stuff. Notes is other stuff. Let's go and understand that. So I can add, for example, I can declare meta tag, and meta tag simply tells me that the characters that I'm going to use inside this particular body is going to be conforming to the UTF nomenclature, and this nomenclature is essentially very similar to different sorts of keyboards that have been designed for different kinds of computers at different levels, and it sits very close to the basic programming, which is the machine language. So when you declare this, the system automatically knows that I am going to use this particular keyboard in this particular format. Thus, if I am going to, let's say, write some gibberish, let's say this one, I mean, generally it doesn't happen with characters, but if I'm going to write some special characters, it would exactly pick the right character from the right keyboard in its programming database. So that's why we declare it, and that is the reason why you need to declare stuff in the header area. This has nothing to do with the programming, but it helps you create a robust programming language. Okay. And next thing is the body. So all your action is going to happen here in the body set, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you a few body tags. So the first one I'm going to show you is called paragraph. I could simply write anything if I want to as well, but for the sake of understanding, let me give you the most basic type of tag. So paragraph is a basic type. So this is a very basic type of language type. Now if I save this and if I watch my browser again, you can see it here. Okay, now in a paragraph you can also add a sub tag, like for example I want to make basic bold. So what do is I add a tag called strong, open it and close it up to the point where I want it to be strong, which is bold. See, if you notice that Sublime Text is actually helping me while I'm doing my programming. So strong was automatically closed even before I typed it. So now if we save it and see our program, basic becomes bold. Okay, so that's what is a paragraph doing, and what a strong tag does. Now let's look at another tag, and this tag is called H, and this is a headline tag, and it moves from 1 to 6 depending on the size of the tag. So if I simply say enter, because Sublime Text has already given me all the options, or I can choose any one of these, and if I say H1, so let's say H1 is what I want. Okay, you just have to remove this. I'm sorry. Okay, if I just type this is my heading, and I'm sorry, just take on both ends. Okay, and this is my heading number. It's going to show me a very bold, strong, big letter text because it's already predefined H1 as that. And if I say, let's say if I say H5 or H4, let's say, okay, and open the tag and say this is a smaller text. Okay, and I save this, and now let's see what happens. So you see, this is the big text that we typed in H1, same thing, but this is a smaller text. So what the parenthesis H1 through H6 does is that it shows you headers in a particular size. Now let's go a little step further, and let's just play around with the header size. So you can also type, for example, H2. This is a medium text. H2. And it should show me what it shows. Okay, and let's also try to play around with lists. So let's type a list tab and say I'm typing, here is my list of things to do. And what this would do is it would show the same heading in a list format. Okay, so if I'm going to simply copy this and I am going to paste this, I'm just going to make it indented in the right way, and I save this and I want to now watch the list. This is how the header text worked. This was H1 and this was H whatever. I'm sorry about the spelling, but this was H4 or 3. This was the smaller one, and this was the list. So you see it's automatically shown you the bullets here, and this is what list does. So if you're writing something, let's say Monday to Friday, you can show that in the format of a list. So this is what this is what is some basic programming in HTML. I'm going to cover more of the syntax in my future videos. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them, and I would love to answer them. Thank you for taking your time. Thank you very much again, and goodbye and good day. Bye bye.